As modern TV goes, Vox Machina has to be one of my favorite shows right now. Maybe behind The Boys and Invincible. And if you've been watching my Everything I Watch videos since like the start back in January, you'd know how many times I have rewatched this show. And I'm even currently trying to work on a video of why I love Vox Machina. So it's a bit annoying after back-to-back years of getting seasons earlier in the year. It took a bit of a hit with its release schedule this year, but compared to another certain Amazon animated show, they've been quite consistent. But anyways, coming to this season from the last two, the show feels completely different. And see, as much as I love it, and I have to admit it, it was to its detriment at times. For example, compared to season 1 and even season 2, like the jump between them, it felt different. It's a minor thing, but the fact that it feels like a scene is missing before the cliffhanger season finale to your subsequent season premiere, it goes really noticed. I also understand because of the late Lance Reddick who voices Thordak, they could have had to change a couple things, but I don't know, just compared to how intuitive the last season's gap was, it just felt different to feel like I missed something in between. And I don't know, it just felt like the creative team changed a bit. Maybe Amazon got more creative control on the projects or something. It's crazy because I started getting that creativity change halfway through the first episode. For starters, always knew that at some point they will explore the relationship between the characters, like the romantic ones. Although I feel like in season 2 they were reaching a bit with the Scanlan and Pike one. I'm happy it did not go there. That one just feels too weird. It was hinted on in like I think episode 11, but please just leave them alone as close friends. But yeah, Keelet, Vax and Vex and Percy, those ones, the way it was done from season 1, it made sense. But the problem I just had was just its implementation in just doing everything all at once. Both of them. Yes, I know that was the arc for this season, and also let the season conclusion hit as hard as it did, and it makes it all make sense and ties everything together. But for me, it just lost that sense of fun that they had doing it right away, like immediately in episode 1, compared to how they always held it. The thought of it, they always held like that thought of it and always alluded it to in the previous seasons, but was never really the main focus. But now in season 3, but now they just like pin it straight in. But see, one change I was on board for was the slight update with the show's animation. The Amazon budget really pushing it in this time, but I'm all here for that upgrade. And for the fight direction, I'm spoiled for choice. My personal favorite standout doesn't even include any of the Vox Machina characters. It's the fight between Vorgol and that demon dog thing. That fight sequence was just so cool and entertaining, and just sort of reminded me of Umbrasyl against the Sphinx from like season 2, but 10 times better. Percy always gets in those good fight sequences. His scenes with him and Ripley multiple times in this season was good. From what I remember, aside Vorgol, she was involved in some of the best fight sequences as well, and was also a bit disappointed with the Thordak one, I cannot lie. But see, maybe that's just because the rest of the fight sequences in this season was just like set on a high bar, so it just like nullified me for the Thordak one. But that one was pretty cool too, but just not as good as some of the other ones. And even speaking of Vorgol still, even what came before and after his fights with the demon, when the team that did not go to hell fought for Vorgol, like the Percy team, but just carrying him, and that was just so cool to see, especially seeing Allura and Kima on there too. And on the topic of Allura and Kima, it was so nice to see like a different set of characters that we have never really seen the origin for, and I just appreciate that. And he also added to their bond and their like addition to like this roster and this team and everything. But we don't care about them. We're watching the show for Vox Machina, and each season always has this sense of character arc for each of the characters. Maybe not each of the characters, but like season 1, it was focused primarily on Percy, which maybe shows why I love that season as much as I do, but we'll get to him in a second. But season 1 mainly focused on Percy, and parts of it was also focused on Pike too, and in season 2 he focused on everybody else apart from maybe the 2 of them. But Pike keeps getting on the wrong end of the stick on this show. I would say she's one of the more boring characters in this show. That's my opinion here. It also does show the limitations of her character and what they can do for that character. But creators, please, that doesn't mean you should pair her with Scanlan to just do something for her. Nobody wants to see that. But they did try to do something with her character and just her faith with her god or whatever. But it was never really something that they fully delved right deep into, which I feel reflects to how she is sort of a boring character. She had like one thing to do this season. Okay, well, maybe 2 things to do in this season if you include the vestiges. But that still comes back to the one thing, and it was that card game with the demon, which I did enjoy. And it was a really intense scene, and even though she cheated at the end asking 2 questions to that demon, it was cool to see her pull off that comeback, and I love the animating there for that one scene. If you know, you know. But yeah, besides that, nothing really else about her character besides her helping Scanlan in the later part of the season. And Grog just as undeveloped this season, but I mean, it's Grog. There's only so much you can do for a character like him. Was surprised how much they got to do with him in season 2, but there was this moment when he said this one smart thing. I was a bit annoyed that they downplayed it, but just the 2 of them, really nothing much to do for their characters, and it shows towards the end because they're the ones that literally stay to hold up the Vox Machina thingy. Scanlan gets completely sidelined, like batches of episodes he's not even there and you just forget about him. He doesn't even leave a good taste with his development because it happens, but it feels like nothing happens for his growth. You know, Vax and Keelet, I think they had the best one for me. You can also throw in Vex in there with them, but I just loved at the start, Vax didn't want to be involved with Kiki, but was like, screw it after his friend's funeral. But you get the message that sent for him. Keelet individually, I was not really happy with her role this season. She really came off as a more annoying character. Like at the end when she just leaves them, I get it, she's like mad about the whole Raishan thing, but they needed to kill Thordak and she did help them do that. If anything, they should have planned on how to betray, or in case Raishan betrayed them, I feel like that's on them. I feel like it was a lazy attempt to push her growth and you know, like her avatar and her next ability thing, just compared to how they did it in season 2, which to be fair, it's not as if season 2 even like planned the entire thing with her growth to the fire Ashari. It just made more sense how they did it there compared to how they did it here. It just felt very forced and very like, we're just gonna put this in your face. And season's main focus was Percy and Vex. See, I love Percy, probably one of my favorite characters, and I'm just gonna spoil this season from here, so spoiler warning. If you haven't watched season 3, I'm going to spoil it. Because firstly, what's the point of killing him? Like, I know they hint at a consequence for Vax, but it just shows how inconsequential this world can be. Like, just brutally injure him. Give him like the Scanlan treatment. Because I just didn't feel anything, even compared to Vex's death in season 2. But quite ironic how the two of them were the cause of each other's deaths, you know? And also, I don't even want to sound like that, but I'm just going to say it. This is my opinion. They butchered Percy's character by giving him that love interest. I think this all started at the end of season 1, most importantly like season 2, but I love season 1 Percy, but he was never the same after his arc in season 1. I just think season 2 he was never really the main focus there, and now that they move him to more of the main focus, but this time he's in a different vision, it was different. I love the flashback with him and I hope we get to see more flashbacks with each cast members. But yeah, Vex was cool as ever. Not really anything against the relationship set for this season, but I think we could have just gotten one relationship set up after the other rather than doing both the relationships this season. Maybe they could have kept their relationship hidden. This is Vex and Percy right now. So yeah, they keep their relationship hidden. Percy gets brutally hurt and everybody finds out about like what they had going on. And it makes Vax more distant to Kiki and they bring him back from the dead, and Vex and Vax have that bonding moment. And in that like bonding moments, like what we had even in this season, she indirectly tells Vax to just go with Kiki. And the current conclusion that we had here still stays the same a bit, you know? Am I cooking or what? Then on the topic of villains, see, Virgo was the best villain this season for me. I would do an overall ranking for the main villains of this show, but for season 3, in my opinion, Virgo was the best. He literally just had like 2 episodes, sorta, but they nailed it with him for me personally. Normally, Ripley would have been my number 1 if they hadn't have just rushed killing her, but I understand why they did it. It was better to do it before they revive Percy and also serve as an avenue for that. But it was just rushed as an episode. Like the villain that has been cooking since season 1. You've had this Ripley character since season 1. It just felt wasted because it was a perfect way to tie everything to season 4. But they just had it end in like half an episode, which was disappointing. And I get the reasoning behind it in a storytelling point of view, but it was just a letdown. Also, Raishan was a huge letdown for me because I feel like it just happened in between them defeating Thordak and the Scanlan thing. Kiki runs away. Like, I personally think the focus on Ripley first, then they go after Raishan. That could have set up for season 4. But apparently we might not even get a season 4, but I'll get to that.
We've been picked up for a season 4!
Then you have Thordak. I understand the limitations with the whole passing of Lance Reddick, but I think his arc was still decent. Felt very one-directional, but I love the build-up to it. For example, like how he took matters to his own hands at times, and when they go to attack him, he comes up with a plan to come up against them. And it was also one of the very few team effort fights that we've had since like maybe season 1, even though I know Percy wasn't there, but even since season 1, it was felt like one of the more team effort fights. But see, can we just wrap it up? We've had 3 seasons of dragons so far. Can we go back to evil witches and vampires? Because that is why I was really expecting Ripley to survive to season 4 and our plan with the demon. It was cool to keep her after Percy's death, but her conclusion being 1/3 of an episode is nefarious work. But yeah, I enjoyed season 3, and as I keep saying, please watch this season 3 times so we can get more.
And watch seasons 1 through 3 again now to psych yourself up. Why not?
Although it was a pretty good ending in terms of they can just call it here before we do get a season 4 and everyone hates it and they say we should have ended at 3. But this is based on a D&D campaign that has been going on for the Lord knows how long. So I'm pretty sure that the people behind it knows what will work and what will not work. What do you think of Vox Machina? Thank you for watching my review, and hopefully I will see you next time. Bye.